Hello, everyone. Welcome. MTL Sports Day, episode 164. We got a jam-packed episode. Not only do we have the NBA Finals, we got to cover. We got predictions for who's going to win this the last series of the NBA season. We also got season recaps, recaps for the two losers of the conference finals, and then the recaps of the two teams in the finals. Their seasons are pretty much A pluses, but we got to go over them, talk about what their off seasons might look like, whether they win or whether they lose. Then we might sprinkle in some Money in the Bank this Saturday as well, and then we get the rematch UFC. I forget which one we're on. 317. We got Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Marab, right? He's the rematch from back in September of last year. So we might
Yes,
sprinkle
sir.
that in as well. So all that being said, guys, stay tuned. We're back. Let's get into this. Let's hop right into it. NBA. Let's do the off-season recaps, and then we'll go into their finals predictions. So first up, we get the two losers. Let's start with the team that honestly we got. Some news that came out the other day. Good thing we didn't record earlier this week, but the New York Knicks. They somehow, some way, always find a way to kind of mess things up for their fans or just in general. But the Knicks, of course, they lose in 6 to the Pacers. Big fumble in game 1. Probably cost them the series, right, Lawrence? And in the aftermath, Leon Rose, the GM, decided to let Tibbs go. So it's a lot going on with the Knicks. Not only that, the roster's kind of in flux. They got basically no picks. They got a second rounder, but it's not really much to work with. They got a bunch of free agents. They got a lot of other big contracts like Mikal Bridges, Cat, Brunson, OG. It's a lot going on, a lot of change happening. So, Lawrence, how would you grade the New York Knicks season? And how do you kind of react to, what's your reaction to the Tibbs firing? And how do they navigate the offseason?
I think the bigger picture is that the Knicks are probably going to be better next year in terms of using their depth because they're going to immediately 180 to something that you were bad at from the year before. Like that's kind of how it has to be. It just kind of goes without saying like who's going to be chopped up and sent off in order to make those things happen because now that it's not Tibbs anymore, the coach is going to want to make his own imprint. Someone's got to go to make your imprint. So, because this team, the Cat couldn't push the needle. They made it back exactly where they were the year before. Technically, Cat also went back to back conference final games too. So you really kind of look up and down the roster and try to figure out like, so who's not allowing me to get past a certain point. So yeah, someone's probably getting chopped, and it just comes down to which and who is going to get chopped. But overall, I'd probably give their season. I could probably give it an A because you can't go any lower because they did make it to the penultimate. But then once you include the playoffs, they look so sus in almost every series except for against the Celtics, which they still found a way to let the Celtics get it to 6, even without Tatum. So props to them. But I think that also exploits the fact that like your bench and use of a bench was so non-existent that you were able to let the Celtics pick up a game like that without Tatum. So I feel like that's what we're going to see. We're going to see someone get chopped to try to create a depth so that way our players are not gassed at the end of the season.
Yeah. They got a lot on their plate. I give the Knicks an A for their season. They went further than anyone thought they could. A lot of people had them losing in the first round, right, to the Pistons, because the Pistons, I think, got the best of them in the regular season series. So you even had people picking the Pistons to beat the Knicks, even though the matchup, kind of leaned in the Knicks' favor. And then, like you said, they beat the Celtics, albeit Tatum was out. For games 5 and 6 and a little bit of 4. But still went further than anyone thought. In the regular season against the top teams in the East, if you count, the Cavs and the Celtics, and then even the Western Conference top teams, the Knicks were like 3 and like a lot, like 3-9 or something. Like it was a really bad stat. They were not playing well against the top competition in the league, especially in the East. And so a lot of people thought the Knicks wouldn't reach the conference finals. They did. The big blunder game one cost them the series most likely. And of course, Tibbs' kind of coaching mentality also cost them. But regardless of all that, I still give them an A. Looking forward, though, no Tibbs. I think it's a good thing. We talked about this at work and in the team's chat. We had a little NBA chat going, and we kind of all agreed that, Tibbs somehow, some way always inherits good rosters, Lawrence, but he never really makes a big push. Like, yeah, he had D Rose and Luol Deng and Joakim Noah, Carlos Boozer, but you get to the conference finals and then you couldn't get back. The Timberwolves, you had Jimmy Butler, you had Wiggins, you had Cat. I think they couldn't get the first round. And then now with this iteration of a team, he gets into the conference finals, but he kind of, I'm not going to say he caused the blunder in game one, but that kind of happens under his watch. So it's just not a good look for a coach who has a good track record, but not a great track record. And we have a team that's basically set in stone. Like you can't really, honestly, it's not looking like they can get off anybody. You can probably try. But when you spend 5 first-round picks on Mikal Bridges, another pick, and Cat, they get traded a pick for OG, like that big treasure chest of picks that they had is gone. So they pretty much stuck with this roster unless they want to trade one of Brunson's friends, and that's probably going to piss him off, seeing that he did the Knicks a solid by taking way less money. Because he could have signed a Supermax this offseason, Lawrence, so he could have really broke the bank on him, and then they would have to definitely choose. But he took less money. For whatever reasons, I don't know. But he took less money, and, the Knicks kind of got to do him a solid by keeping his friends around. The people that he wants on the team, he has to keep around. So they got a tough offseason. But I think if they do anything, I think they got to have a secondary ball handler. Brunson dominating the ball is just not, I don't think it's very effective. Like, I mean, too many times they get stagnant. They rely on Brunson to make something happen, and he turns the ball over. And the Pacers, a team that's not even good on defense, they kind of just took advantage of that, made them make silly mistakes a lot going down the stretch. And honestly, that led to easy buckets. So they got to get a secondary playmaker. I don't think that, Josh Hart being your second basically ball handler / playmaker is a recipe for success. But that's something for the next coach. Who do you think the next coach is going to be, Lawrence? You think it's going to be a big name like a Mike Malone or a Mark Jackson, or do you think they're just going to go grab a young guy, kind of like the Lakers did when they grabbed JJ?
I think the Knicks are probably going to do a young former player. I think they want to get where the market worked. And the Knicks are all about, doing outside the ordinary tactics. It's just kind of like whenever you're a big team like that, like your big market, you always, no matter who you get, it's always going to shake everything up. But I think they should go young and former player. With that being said, like who? I mean, Jamal Crawford ain't immediately taking the spot, but some mind like that, like his takes on inside the NBA or not, sorry, inside the NBA on TNT were always, pretty nice. If he always felt like he was well-minded in order to like really get a team going and moving towards a picture. But I mean, honestly, with the roster you had, getting out coached by Rick Carlisle, I feel like it could, whoever you bring in, it could be a fix. Like you had the team to do it. You just need a few more pieces. It's not like Rick Carlisle is like the best coach ever.
Yeah. I think a young guy probably is the right move, but knowing the Knicks, they're probably gonna want to Probably make a splash. Probably gonna try and make a big flashy move. Go with an experienced coach. So if that's the case, then I see Mike Malone being the front runner. He's from New York. I think the players will respect him. Having a coach that's been there, done that. I mean, recently too, and he's has successful bigs. I mean, Jokic. He turned Jokic into what, 3-time MVP. Not saying Cat's going to be MVP anytime soon, or if that's even in his ability, but maybe he can get more out of Cat than Tibbs ever did, because Tibbs coached Cat in Minnesota and New York. So that's a good option in my opinion. Also, Darvin Ham. I think he would be perfect for the Knicks. He's another defensive guy, just like Tibbs, but I think he would be more in the mindset of playing as players. Now his rotations can be a little funky, but they don't have to worry about that because they just have, in terms of guards, they just have Brunson and Deuce McBride. So there won't be any of those stupid 3-guard lineups that he throw out on the floor like he did with the Lakers. So I think those are two good answers, but obviously they can definitely just go and poach someone's assistant coach, someone that someone doesn't know. Like you said, go get a former player. Maybe they go get Steve Nash. Maybe they go get someone else who recently retired. Who knows? Who knows what the Knicks is going to do? But I definitely think they need a playmaker, Lawrence, because like I said, Brunson, he is just. I don't think him dominating the ball is a good look going forward. What do you think about that? Do they need another playmaker in that starting lineup?
Playmaker in the starting lineup. I could agree with that.
Or just in general?
I feel like Mikal Bridges and Hart should, on the starting unit, be really good at rotating. For my problem is Mikal Bridges just doesn't touch the ball for like long periods of a time, other than getting rebounds or setting up the assist. Like, his assists are almost always pass to, then repass to the next. Like, he's just not very integral. I guess he's more of the defense. He does carry a defensive weight, but I feel like he could ball handle a little more on that starting unit. And I don't even think they need something like too strong. I think the easiest, like, just look over and see how the other team did it. The Pacers, like, every time TJ McConnell came into the game, that man, I think I had every game in that series almost had 10 points, and just play tenacious defense up on top of you. And then he always took the ball over for Haliburton, controlled it the whole time. I mean, I thought they did a really good job when Shamet. I thought he did a good job ball handling and doing playmaking abilities while they used him, but they didn't use him very much. I think you just got like a little bit, I would say, a score second, pass first kind of guy to be a wedge. Like, he can go play Mikal Bridges' position when Brunson's in there, or then when Brunson's out, fill a void. He needs to be able to do multiple things as well. But like you said, the way that TJ McConnell would come in, and then when Brunson would leave and Haliburton would leave, like, TJ actually did things. The Knicks didn't really have anyone that came off the bench that, ball handled and scored.
Yeah, you're exactly right. They got to make some moves there. Moving on to the Timberwolves. A lot of people thought, including myself, that they wouldn't be back in the spot, but they made it back to the conference finals, albeit against the Thunder. They looked outmatched. Ant-Man could only do but so much. The Thunder are juggernauts, so it's no shame in losing to probably the best team this year in the league, honestly. So how do you think? How would you grade the Timberwolves season, Lawrence? And what do you think they need to do this offseason? Do they need to go get a Kevin Durant? Do they try maybe throw their hat in the Giannis ring? Although I don't think they have enough for Giannis, but maybe KD is the missing piece, or maybe is there another player out there that they can turn to?
Honestly, the answer is they need a scorer, and the best one you can get is KD. I think that's probably who they need. You have to be able to convince KD to not have to come in there with a huge bag. Ant-Man's going to get you your last ring, so everyone can't say, oh, he just got a ring because of the Warriors. Like, even though Ant-Man's probably going to get you that ring, you're going to help him, and that gives you off the hook of just being part of that dynasty of the Warriors, and you can actually say that like I am Kevin Durant. I got 3 rings. I didn't have to have the Warriors do it for my only 2. I think that's a strong case for his regard. I think
Mm-hmm.
moving on from Randall is like big because so many times in the playoffs just irrelevant. And honestly, like just the like ability that he loves to get injured so often, you just don't need that around, especially when you got a young guy. You don't need to push your young guy even harder than he needs to, because Ant-Man's probably like your legacy player almost. I mean, back-to-back Eastern Conferences with
Yep.
him, so like you never want this man to leave or walk, and you want him to be there forever. At a young point in his career, like right now, like you kind of have to do what the Suns try to do with um, dang, what's the little boy's name? Or sorry, not little boy, little man's name, Booker. Yeah, you should do the exact same thing. Like, oh man, like Booker, you're our guy. We're gonna get you the best scorer in the league possible. That's what they should do. Um, for Ant Man. Plus, you don't even have to worry about anything. Like, you have like the quote unquote defensive player of on your team. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Timberwolves are in a tough spot. I mean, you can see from the article, they got a lot of decisions to make. But in terms of grades, I give them an A, just like the Knicks. I think, I didn't expect them to make it past the first round. I had Lakers in 5. I'm a Lakers in 5 type of guy, but they spanked the Lakers, went to the next round. Beat the Nuggets, or did they beat the Nuggets? No, they beat the Warriors, right? Um, yeah, I think they put a lot of people wrong. I think the roster is good. I don't think the roster is great. So I think that's where the issue lies. They gotta figure out, how do they get better, but also kind of reinvent the roster. Like you said, Randall in a contract year, we've seen this before. He'll play well just to get himself another contract, and then he kind of regresses. In this case, he kind of didn't play well until the back half of the season, going into the playoffs. He played well to the first 2 rounds, but the last conference finals, he kind of just outside that the one game, he was kind of butt. So I don't. If I'm the Wolves, I wouldn't re-sign him unless he wants to take less. Maybe he opts in so that he can, get that last guaranteed year of a lot of money, and then he'll go from there. Maybe next offseason, there'll be more teams available to fetch his services, but I don't think Randall's the answer. They look like Naz Reid. They're probably going to lose Naz Reid. He thinks he's a starter. So I don't think Minnesota should really overpay for Naz Reid, especially when you have Gobert. I think you should either choose between the two, and clearly they're going to keep Gobert because I don't really see another team wanting Gobert. So I don't know how they improve. I mean, they're going to have to hit on these draft picks. Last year they got Rob Dillingham. I didn't really see him too much. Maybe you rely on him to get better over the summer. Maybe Randall's out. You slide DiVincenzo into that starting lineup. Maybe that helps the Wolves a little bit. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of questions, especially with new ownership coming in. A-Rod bought the team along with Mark Lore. So who knows if they want to really pump money into the team at first, or if they kind of want to, do things their way, kind of reset the team a little bit, so that they can plan out a future. So who knows? I mean, they can move in a lot of directions, but like you said, Lawrence, Ant-Man is their legacy player. He's the franchise guy. It's going to revolve around him. So they're going to be competitive next year. They're going to be competitive in the offseason. Maybe they do get a Kevin Durant. I don't know how with the limited assets, but maybe they can pull it off if KD says that he wants to go there. I don't know. But KD's definitely the guy that they need. It's just a matter of can they get him over teams like the Heat or Houston. I don't see OKC wanting them because they made the finals. So maybe you get the fight between the Heat, Houston probably, maybe maybe Philly. Who knows? Those are the teams that I'm projecting to fight over Kevin Durant.
Okay.
Let's go on to the two winners of the conference finals, meaning in the NBA finals. We got the OKC Thunder, we got the Pacers. Start with the Pacers. Pacers, unexpected season, right? Did not expect them to make the NBA finals. Did not expect them to go back-to-back conference finals. I mean, what can you say about them? They're well constructed, well coached. Salary cap wise, they're in the spot they want to be. They're not in the luxury tax. They're willing to go there, but they're pretty flexible with their team spending. So, how would you grade their season, Lawrence? I mean, it's pretty much an A, so we don't need to grade their season. But how do you think they'll approach the NBA offseason, whether they lose or whether they win? How should they approach so they can get back to the finals?
Thunder, right? Or did you read the
Pacers?
Yeah, you were saying the whole thing. I was like, which one did you lead with? Forgot. For me, I don't think the Pacers really kind of have to do anything other than like maybe add a piece or two. Because I feel like the in-season moves they did really helped them get here. Honestly, the only thing they can do is retool and like improve some of their backup roles, which is easy to do. But like the core is there, and some might even say like it's a year early core too, because not a lot of them had it make. Not even a lot of people had them making the playoffs with deep run aspirations in mind. I mean, not many people even thought they were going to get past the Cavaliers. So like, maybe they are a little early, but this Siakam magic, because Siakam took has also taken the Raptors, who didn't go for so long. But you got Hallie. So you got your assists and points for the future. You got pieces.
Yeah, they got pieces. They're well built for the future. They got their draft picks for the most part. They got their coach that they respect, and he has a nice system in place. I think you're right. I think you just got to keep adding through the draft. Maybe if you see a move that you got to make, you go make it in terms of trades. Like I don't think Milwaukee would trade Giannis to Indiana, but hell, if he wants to go there, then you probably got to throw your hat in the ring, whether you lose or whether you win. I don't think you can win a championship and still stay, complacent. You still got to make some moves around the edges. So, that being said, though, I don't see that happening. But yeah, they got their coach. Rick Carlisle's a hell of a coach, championship coach. I think, Haliburton and Siakam respect him, so they'll keep him in place and continue letting him have his hands all over this organization. They're young guys, though. They got young guys and not even really playing them. Like, if you think about it, like, Ben Mathurin's not really playing a lot. Jarris Walker, he's out for the first couple of games in the finals, but he doesn't really play a lot either. So maybe they try to develop those guys over the summer. Maybe they trade those guys and get a vet. They do need a backup big. Thomas Bryant, he's not it. Most of the time they put Obi Toppin at the backup five. They also got to make a decision about Miles Turner, whether they want to extend him again, because Miles Turner is kind of like what's his name from the Hawks, being in trade rumors all the time.
Trae Young.
No, remember the power forward? He plays in Utah right now.
Yeah, I know exactly. Collins.
John Collins. Yeah. Miles Turner has kind of become that. He's been in trade rumors pretty much every trade deadline. So, do they want to extend the man? Do they want to keep him around since he led them to the finals or helped lead them to the finals? That's probably the biggest question that they got to answer this offseason. But the other side of the aisle, the OKC Thunder, they're juggernauts. They got a bunch of picks. They got SGA. They got the MVP. They got J-Dub, 3-time All-NBA or third-team All-NBA, first time being nominated to that honor. So, what do you think about the OKC Thunder? Do they switch up the team even if they lose? Like, if they lose, do you see them switching up and going to go get KD, bring him back for one more good run, or what do you see the offseason kind of being like?
I think the Thunder are another team where I don't think they do anything at all other than some pieces of maybe like a Hartenstein. You might move like a minor piece or two.
Mm-hmm.
You might. I don't know if Lou Dort's contract's up, but he might be up sometime soon. But you might have to fight some hands off Lou Dort, or you might not be able to keep. But you kind of realize, like, oh man, my team's not going to completely collapse without Lou Dort. But maybe he's the glue guy, and we don't know it. Again, OKC is one of those things like we don't really need anything other than I don't know, maybe another like big name, big star, just to pass wealth and keep my Shay less beat up and not having to go to the free throw line and shoot 20 free throws a night. Maybe we'll just bump it down to 10. So that way he doesn't have to get beat up all night. Like, that's the only thing I could see them doing is like a pure shooter, old man going through retirement kind of, like a KD. That's who I would see coming through this team because otherwise, I don't see any real need for it. I mean, one shocker move they easily and probably could make is bringing Chris Paul back and seeing if they can get him a title.
Hey, I never thought about that, but that's definitely a good look for them.
Because he is kind of the one who, like, I would say kind of got their franchise re-going again, with that Chris Paul magic that he does. But, he didn't get to see any of the glory of it, moving forward. Bringing him back and just kind of telling him, like, you're going to be playing, like, 10 minutes, 12 minutes maximum. I need you to get me 4 or 5 assists in that time period. I need you to be, like, just a dad to the team to make sure it's all good. Make sure everyone's head's in the right time.
Yeah, I definitely could see that. He definitely, like you said, jump-started the whole, process for OKC. Yeah, I mean, I could see KD coming if they lose. I think that would force Sam Presti to kind of make a quick rash decision, right? He, got a bunch of picks and they got like 10 picks over the next like 7 years. They got to cash him in at some point. So, why not better than now with, the East being wide open. So you probably beat anyone in the East. It's just a matter of getting out the West. But honestly, if they don't go for KD, like you said, maybe you try to trade for Clay. Who knows if Clay is going to get a lot of minutes next year with Cooper Flag, most likely going to be joining the team and getting a good chunk of minutes off the rip. So maybe they go for a guy like that who's on his way out, in the next 2-3 years, and he's a sniper. Can't really play defense all that well, but he's a sniper, and that's kind of what OKC needs. If they had one weakness, it's 3-point shooting. They're kind of streaky at best. In terms of contracts, I think everyone's signed. I think they got 13 players signed. So, like I said, they just gotta keep everyone happy and just hope that this group can win. And then if they can win, they're probably gonna keep the team together. If they can't win, then they'll probably just make some fringe moves around the edges, like you said, for a veteran person who can score. But CP3 is not a bad move if they want a backup point guard. It's not a bad move. Now to predictions. Who do you got? OKC? Do you have Indiana? And how many games?
I think OKC does it in 5.
Damn, 5?
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of faith in the Pacers. Personally, to me, I think the Pacers got lucky with the fact that the Cavs were kind of beaten to high hell when they got their hands on them. The Bucks, we literally talked all season about how the Bucks just weren't that good. Lillard didn't even play. In my opinion, the Knicks shot themselves in the foot. They blew that game. Yes, the Pacers had a lot to do with it. Their hustle and their grind mentality when they play. But then you got to look on the other flip side. OKC doesn't give a frick about that. Like, they're also hustle and grind. They're better at defense. Pretty much better at offense. The only thing that Indiana beats them with is the ability to pass the ball and assist better. But what are we talking about here? This is the Thunder. they crushed teams all season. I think they're like 55-27 or something against the spread. They're gonna kill them, in my opinion. But they're gonna get a nice little gentleman sweep. It's not gonna be complete. Indiana's not gonna lose Game 3.
Oh, they've been losing game threes, though. That's their thing. They've been losing game threes. What they haven't, I don't think they've lost a game one, though. So I think if you're betting up, I take the Indiana spread for game one. Because I don't think they've lost a game one all playoffs. But they've lost like every single game three.
I'm going to take them this time. It's going to be the flip side.
Yeah.
Thunder are not dropping a single one again at home. Just know it. And they're not dropping another one at home. Indiana's going to get their get back as soon as they get back home. And then they're going to get murdered again in game 4.
I got you. I'll be a little bit more, I guess, generous to the Pacers. They're a good team. They're young. They can run. I think they match up pretty decently, but their style is, I think it's what's going to undo them. The style is just not the right style to go against the OKC. I think for the OKC, you could tell the Nugget style of play is the type of style that is, probably the best way to beat them. Indiana's not like that at all. They're run and gun. They're, shoot, get past half court. We don't want to run a half court offense. We just want easy buckets. Whether that's threes, whether that's, easy inside the paint points, whether that's, getting to the foul line sometimes. OKC, they kind of negate all that with the defense. I mean, they're number one in defense. I think they were number one in offense at one point too, this season. So they're just a juggernaut, man. I don't really see the Pacers doing too much, but I've seen from the Thunder too many games this postseason where they just kind of blow it. So I'm expecting them to blow a game or two. That being, I don't think they blow game one, but I think they'll come close. I think they'll probably blow like game two. And then they'll probably, like you said, they'll probably, go to Indiana and then lose game 3 or game 4. And so that'll be the 2 games that Indiana wins, but OKC for the rest of it, they should be killing the Pacers because not that they don't stand a chance, but they don't really stand a chance, y'all. I mean, SGA's free throw merchant, quote unquote. He's a killer. I don't see anybody on Indiana that can guard him. Especially like Nembhard. I mean, Nembhard, he did good on Brunson, but that's just because he's bigger than Brunson. When SGA is bigger than you, and he's not really affected by like people being in his grill, being in his space, that just makes it easier for him to draw fouls. So he's just gonna foul you out, and then you get to switch to Naismith, and he's gonna get him in foul trouble, and then you have to bring a guy like Ben Mathurin in. He's not really a defensive guy because Walker was kind of your defensive guy. But he's not playing, so I think it's just going to be a whole mess for them. And the Thunder can run and gun too, so they're just as young as the team. I don't think the running and gunning is going to really affect them too much. So I don't think Indiana has any advantages. Even if you were to say big man, like Miles Turner's a stretch big. He's not in the paint like that, so there's no advantages here. Maybe Siakam, but Siakam has to go like 2015 LeBron to even, give the Pacers a chance to even make it to 7 games. Don't you think?
Well, that's why I said 5. That's why I did say in 5. I like you're trying to sway yourself to not take them to get crushed, but in reality, you know that they will. I mean, that's just the best team in basketball. I think they said one of the best teams ever against covering spreads, and I think they already have game 1 spread at like 8.5, so they're already planning that the Thunder crush them game 1. I mean, that's just what we're in for. That's going to be the series. The series begins game 3, whether or not Indiana can defend their home court one good time.
Yeah, I'm trying to talk myself into it. I'm not doing a good job. I'm kind of just rambling, but I'm not trying to disrespect the Pacers, man. They made it this far. I'm trying to give them a little respect, just a little bit. Maybe I'm overdoing it though.
No, they earned the respect.
First game,
They made it to this point. The team just has more from us.
Fair enough. I believe Tevin has OKC in 6 as well. So I think we all got OKC in this one. No underdog picks. If you're picking for the Pacers, I guess you're restricted to the state of Indiana and that one firefighter that almost got beat up in the streets of New York for wearing his Pacers jersey. You guys basically giving the casino free money, but hey, do as you wish. Other than that, guys, we got Money in the Bank this Saturday.
Any interesting outcomes
honestly, I don't remember. I don't even remember who's in the match, to be honest. I think the last qualifying matches I think are Friday, so we can't accurately predict them right now. But if I had a guess, quick prediction: El Americano won his match the other day, so I think he has a good chance to win the whole thing. The women's side. Who won on the women's side? I think Rhea Ripley has a good chance to win. You got any predictions? I know all the contestants aren't qualified, but if you had to pick somebody on each side, men's and women's, who do you think is going to win?
For some reason, I feel like all this bad news and everything everyone's talking about for Seth Rollins, I feel like Seth Rollins probably wins it for the men's.
Oh, okay.
And just keeps us because that's going to get him his title shot. That's going to get him his immediate title run. For the women's, I can't even help but be a hater. I don't even know who's in the match. So I guess I'll have to go with Rhea because that's the only one I know of.
Fair enough.
UFC side of things, though, we can finally get our boy Kevin Holland another dub this weekend because I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to take care of business against Luque. Honestly, it's kind of a bummer that so many of these cards or so many of these fights in this card are so weighed heavy to one side in terms of the bets. So Kayla Harrison to beat Juliana Pena, you're gonna have to take Kayla by knockout, even though women typically do not get KOs. But Kayla might be able to hold women nowadays to be able to get a KO. But Juliana Pena does not really get knocked out. But she's a minus 800, so it's unlikely that anything other than Kayla Harrison winning. Like I said, Kevin Holland is going to finally get another dub. We've been watching our boys slip up multiple fight cards now. You know me, I'm always down to fade Kevin Gastelum too, so give me Joe Pryor as well. And yeah, I think that's what I'm going to roll with. I'm also going to take what is his name, Patty Mix, right below it in that middle spot. He's filling in against Mario Bautista. I do really truly wish the best for Mario Bautista, but Patchy Mix has been fighting in Bellator for so long, and he finally has that move over. He's 31. This is his time to take it and run. But if there's anyone to take him down, it would be Mario to make another run for that title.
Fair enough. Do you have a prediction for the rematch?
I'm probably going to take Merab again. I think problem with Sugar Sean is I feel like he can, because he's so much taller, he's more stringy, which makes him more liable to be overpowered in short exchanges or just short-handed combat styles, because he likes to fire at range, and we just know Merab's really good at getting engaged and getting close to the opponent. So I think just because of that, Merab's probably just going to be able to take advantage of that against him.
Yeah, I see more of the same. Him staying in close, wrestling, bring him to the ground, pinning him on the cage. I see literally the same fight, except for it won't be in the hemisphere. It's probably gonna be the same fight. So hate to see it, but O'Malley's probably gonna lose again. Hate to see it though, or some people might like to see it. Anything else before we head on out for the evening? Shout out to all the Switch 2 owners or soon to be owners. If you go into the midnight release, this will be we're recording on Wednesday, so if you're going Wednesday night, shout out. That's what I'm about to head in a couple of hours. But anything else, Lawrence?
No, that's it for me.
All right. Let's head on out, guys. Enjoy the finals. Game 1 is Thursday night, 8:30 p.m., right before this podcast airs, a couple hours before. So stay tuned for that. And then I think it's like every 3 days. So got long finals ahead of us, maybe. Thank you guys for watching on YouTube. Thank you guys for listening on Spotify and all that good stuff. And we will see you sometime next week. Peace.
Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're giving me wind and rain.